Hello, today we will share with you the hot developments between Palestine and Israel in the world. Let's start with our first news. The Qassam Brigades of Palestine carried out a major provocation last night during an important speech by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other government officials in Tel Aviv. The brigades launched a rocket attack on the city of Tel Aviv, causing panic in central Israeli cities. Sirens were suddenly activated in various parts of Israel to ensure the safety of the population. People were directed to shelters, and security forces were put on high alert. There has been no official statement regarding casualties or property damage as a result of the attack, but the effects of the incident are ongoing. The Israeli military announced that in response to today's rocket and missile attacks, they targeted a Hezbollah facility and a series of observation posts in southern Lebanon. Israel stated that the clashes on the Lebanon border have escalated tensions between the parties. These attacks appear to further escalate the long-standing tension between Israel and Hezbollah. The Gaza Strip is facing a crisis overshadowed by escalating conflicts and humanitarian issues. The Al-Qassam brigades engaged in armed clashes with Israeli forces entering the northwest of Beit Lahia, further highlighting the intensity and complexity of the conflict in the Gaza Strip. Israeli Army spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari shared the latest developments related to military operations in the Gaza Strip. Hagari stated that the Israeli military is gradually increasing its ground operations in Gaza. At the same time, he mentioned that they are gradually expanding the scope of their forces. The Israeli Defense Forces moved additional ground troops to the Gaza Strip tonight to expand their ground operation, further escalating tensions in the region. This operation underscores Israel's determination against Gaza and suggests the widening scope of the conflict. According to the latest reports from Gaza, there is a more intense exchange of gunfire in the direction of Gaza by Israeli security forces, with artillery, tank, and mortar shells being fired more heavily than in previous days. This indicates an increase in the intensity of the conflict, further endangering the safety of the civilian population. In addition, the Israeli military and Shin Bet have released the names of 55 Hamas leaders they claim to have killed in the Gaza Strip since October. This underscores the seriousness and scope of Israel's operation in Gaza and highlights how complex and deadly the conflict is. The Gaza Strip and the West Bank are at the center of escalating tensions and violence in recent times. The Israeli military demolished the home of Hassan Kadnani in the Askar refugee camp in the West Bank overnight, who carried out a lethal armed attack on the D family in April. Additionally, 23 Palestinians with alleged ties to Hamas were arrested in the West Bank. These developments are further increasing the tension in the region, deepening the conflict. Hamas announced a drone attack targeting Israeli military vehicles that entered the northwest of Beit Lahia. Such attacks are making security issues in the region even more complex, intensifying the conflict. Furthermore, the Palestinian Red Crescent reported that 2 individuals were injured with live ammunition in the Daesh camp in Bethlehem. These incidents pose a significant threat to the safety and well-being of the civilian population in the region. The tension in border areas has further escalated in the past 24 hours. Intense tank fire and airstrikes have been reported along the borders of Israel and the Gaza Strip. These recent developments indicate a more intense conflict environment compared to yesterday's clashes. These events in the border areas pose a significant threat to the civilian population. People are being directed to shelters to avoid the conflicts and stay safe. In the past few hours, Israel's military activity in the region has drawn attention. An Israeli aircraft launched a missile strike on an empty target, followed by a large sweep operation around the Al-Abad area. This operation represents a significant operation involving machine guns, bombs, mortar shells, and white phosphorus munitions. The sweep operation around the Al-Manara colony is further intensifying the tension in the region. Lebanese Parliament Speaker Nabi Berri hosted a Hamas delegation led by Salih al-Aruri, Hamas No. 2, in Beirut, marking a significant development in regional relations. This meeting is noted as a critical diplomatic step that could impact the course of tension in the region. The recent escalation of violence in the Gaza Strip has resulted in a significant tragedy, with Israel targeting central areas of Gaza. 9 people lost their lives, and many others were injured as a result of the Israeli attack. Palestinian state television reported that communication and internet services are gradually returning to the Gaza Strip. These recent attacks pose a significant threat to the civilians living in the Gaza Strip. Targeting civilian settlements endangers the lives of the peaceful civilian population. The response from the Gaza Strip to Israel's attacks further escalates the tension in the region. The re-establishment of communication infrastructure is seen as a critical step for the region's residents to communicate with the international community and convey their requests for assistance. This is an important element in dealing with the humanitarian crisis in the region. Additionally, the Palestinian Red Crescent reported the condition of a 13-year-old child who was wounded by bullets fired by the police in the Arub camp near Hebron. Tragic incidents like these call on all parties to remember their responsibility to protect the safety and well-being of the civilian population. In the armed clashes that occurred in the northern part of Gaza, an Israeli officer sustained minor injuries, while one soldier was moderately injured. These injuries once again highlight the intensity and dangerous nature of the conflict in Gaza. It appears that the injuries occurred as a result of an air defense system being hit by an artillery shell. The wounded individuals were quickly transported to a nearby hospital for treatment. In addition, the Israeli military conducted a significant airstrike in the Gaza Strip, targeting approximately 450 Hamas objectives. These targets included Hamas command centers, observation points, and anti-tank guided missile launch positions. Israel is continuing its operations against Hamas in the Gaza Strip with determination, pursuing an important strategy to prevent further escalation of the conflict. The escalating tension in the northern Gaza Strip region of Beit Hanoun in recent days has led to outbreaks of clashes between Israeli forces and Palestinian militants. Witnesses in the area emphasize the intensity and severity of these clashes. These conflicts occurring near civilian settlements have left the local residents in fear. As the uncertainty regarding when the clashes between Israeli forces and Palestinian militants will come to an end persists, there is growing concern about further escalation of tension in the region. Reported incidents of intense explosions and clashes near two Asker camps close to the city of Nablus in the northern part of the region have further escalated the tension in the Gaza Strip, threatening the safety of the civilian population. Moreover, the heavy bombardment carried out by Israel on Friday resulted in a disruption of internet services in the Gaza Strip. This situation left the residents of the region without critical communication and access to the outside world during a crucial period. However, the latest network data indicates that internet connectivity is beginning to be restored, which means that the residents of the Gaza Strip are regaining their means of communication. In addition to these developments in the Gaza Strip, Israeli forces continue their operations in Gaza and Khan Yunis cities. A bombing attack on a house in the south of Khan Yunis resulted in one fatality and one person being injured. The Gaza Civil Defense spokesperson stated that hospitals have exceeded their maximum capacity, and some of the wounded have had to be treated on the ground. This highlights the urgency of humanitarian assistance and the immense challenge the healthcare infrastructure in the region is facing. Furthermore, the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees reported that thousands of people entered the aid depots in Gaza to obtain food and other essential survival supplies. The agency's leader described this situation as a worrying sign of a breakdown in civil order. This development has been noted as a challenge that hinders access to humanitarian aid in the region and puts aid organizations' work at risk.